So we started off a few weeks ago talking about the armor that we put on to protect ourselves from being vulnerable, from being afraid, from being hurt again. And we've talked about claiming our enoughness as a way to start to live more authentically without that armor. Feeling better about letting it go because we're okay with who we are and our innate worthiness. Last week we talked about perfectionism as one of the walls or the pieces of armor that we put up, and how it's the cracks in our armor where the light of our souls comes through. And much of this has dovetailed into Brene Brown's Daring Greatly book. And so I'd like to read you one last section of hers on numbing. I often say that when they start having 12-step meetings for busyaholics, they'll need to rent out football stadiums. We are a culture of people who bought into the idea that if we stay busy, the truth of our lives won't catch up with us. I believe we all numb our feelings. We may not do it compulsively and chronically, which is addiction, but that doesn't mean that we don't numb our sense of vulnerability. And numbing vulnerability is especially debilitating because it doesn't just deaden the pain of our difficult experiences. Numbing vulnerability also dulls our experiences of love, joy, belonging, creativity, and empathy. We can't selectively numb emotions. If you're wondering if numbing refers to doing illegal drugs or having a few glasses of wine after work, the answer is yes. I'm going to argue that we need to examine the idea of quote-unquote taking the edge off. And that means considering the glasses of wine we drink while we're cooking dinner, eating dinner, and cleaning up after dinner, our 60-hour work weeks, the sugar, the fantasy football, the prescription pills, and the 4 shots of espresso that we drink in order to clear the fog from the wine and Advil PM. I'm talking about you and me and the stuff we do every day.
Today's reading is from John chapter 11, verses 17 through 20 and 32 through 34. When Jesus arrived in Bethany, he found out that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Since Bethany was only about 2 miles from Jerusalem, many people had come out to console Martha and Mary about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, while Mary stayed at home with the mourners. When Mary got to Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "If you had been here, Lazarus never would have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the other mourners as well, he was troubled in spirit, moved by the deepest emotions. "Where have you laid him?" Jesus asked. "Come and see," they said. And Jesus wept.
Would you pray with me? Holy One, dealing with our emotions and our feelings is not always easy or pleasant. But we have been given an amazing life to live. And we invite you, your Spirit, to help us to live fully, authentically, with grace and with light. And may the words of my mouth and the meditations of each of our hearts be filled with your wisdom and your grace. Amen. So let me start with the punchline and then I'm going to back into it. It was about the only way I could write the sermon this week. So, the title of my sermon was Showing Up for Life. Maybe you've all heard the Woody Allen quote that says 80% of life is just showing up. However, I don't think that just occupying a space, a physical space, is enough. If we want to live fully, if we want to fully engage the spiritual journey, with all of the craziness that life brings, if we want to live into people who are wise and compassionate and loving and centered and grounded, it means we don't get to just show up and occupy a space. It means we show up and we engage our emotions and we engage in life. And I know that's not always easy and it's not always comfortable, but it's the most meaningful, growth-producing way to live. The scripture this morning. If we step back a little bit in that chapter, we find out that Jesus was off by the Jordan River and he was teaching. And a messenger comes and says, hey, your good friend Lazarus is pretty sick, they want you to come. And Jesus, at that point, and through the part that Ron read, is pretty convinced that Lazarus is going to be just fine, nothing to worry about. And eventually, a few days later, they go to see Lazarus and find out that Lazarus has died. And Jesus maintains this, confidence that he's going to live. But the interesting thing is that in that confidence, he doesn't stay aloof and disconnected. He still has great feelings for the family and for Lazarus, and he weeps. And this is not the only time in Scripture that we hear that Jesus actually cries. What does that mean? If this great teacher of ours, this person who is our example and our mentor, can feel those emotions, what does that mean? What kind of person was he? How did he live life? I mean, he obviously wasn't afraid of vulnerability. He wasn't afraid to open his heart. He wasn't afraid to lean into the grief that was surrounding him. Where he could have just, said, no, it's going to be fine, don't worry about it. He had compassion and empathy and was fully present to everything he was feeling. When we get the news that someone's died, when we get in a difficult situation, when we have to deal with conflict, what's our first thought? Oh, really? Don't want to go there. Isn't it? It's sort of it's not only that we're grieving and that we're hurting, but some of it's just, sometimes it's, I don't want to deal with this at all. How do I get out of this? We're a culture right now that doesn't deal well with conflict and difficult situations. And I worry even more about our younger generation and how they're dealing with conflict, because too often it happens via text and via email. My daughter works here. She said one of the servers quit last week via text. And she knows how much I love that. Because I have told the kids over and over again, I said, if you have a difficult situation with somebody that you need to deal with, you do it in person, or at the very least on the phone. But we're trying to numb, deaden, and avoid those difficult situations and those difficult feelings. And we find ways to keep them at arm's length. And so we avoid. Brené Brown says that basically our society has a propensity to numb. Did you know that in 2017, according to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 19.7 million people had a substance abuse disorder in the US. In addition to that, 66.6 million people were binge drinkers. So 3, 4, 5 times a month are drinking into oblivion. And 16.7 million people are heavy drinkers. Deadening whatever the pain is, has been the struggles, the conflicts, life. And hopefully those extreme measures of numbing aren't part of your lives. But there's a whole lot of ways that we numb. I think she's right. I think we all numb at one time or another, myself included. And some of those ways are socially acceptable. Can you name a socially acceptable way to kind of numb, deaden the... What? Food. Absolutely. And did you know that 79% of people in weight loss programs deal with weight stigma by eating more? What else? Shop retail therapy, absolutely. What else?
Video games.
Video games, yes. Yes. Yeah, different world, whole, oh, yeah.
Netflix.
Netflix, absolutely. Let's just stream.
Yeah.
As an avoidance deadening measure. What else? What was that? Work, absolutely. Workaholism. Oh, look how dedicated they are to their job. Look how much they work. Sleeping more. Exercising. Nobody mentioned that one. You know, they say that it's an estimated 3% of people that are gym goers have a destructive relationship with exercise. But there's a 2008 Paris study that says that 42% of gym goers have a destructive relationship with exercise. The truth is probably somewhere in between there. But exercise can be used to avoid. I think church can be used as an avoidance mechanism. Or God. It's God's will. God will fix it. Ways to just ignore and having to deal with our own feelings and struggles. And I'm not saying that sometimes we need to step back for a minute before dealing with a conflict and a difficult situation. But there is a difference between, I need to go for a run to gain some perspective and to kind of calm down before I deal with the conflict, and I'm going to go for a run tonight and tomorrow night and the next night, and oh, well, it's just gone. No, I'm through it. I'm done with it. It's gone. So there's a difference. It's okay to gain some perspective and take a step back. But we can't ignore. Gossip. Another way of avoiding numbing. We have a friend who, well, let me back this up. So it's not only some of these major traumatic issues that we know, it's also things like inadequacy and not feeling like we're enough. Disconnection is a huge issue in our society today. The more we do the video games and the Netflix, and I've said this over and over again, air conditioning was almost the worst thing ever invented because we're not out on our front porches hanging with the neighbors anymore. We don't know people around us. We are more and more disconnected, lonely, empty, isolated. I have a friend who takes care of an elderly woman who has health issues and she's isolated. She has nobody else, and she copes through food and vodka. And she's miserable, and she chooses not to change. I mean, we choose, let me be clear, we choose at the end of the day how we deal with our stress, our emotions, our pain. And we can do it in a way where we can live fully and engage life to its fullest, or we can put up walls and run and hide. I'm suggesting the first way. It's better. Numbing is an issue for, well, at least two reasons. One, it doesn't work because people leak. We leak our emotions. We can't keep them bottled up. They're going to come out one way or another. So if you haven't finished grieving and you pretend you have and you've stomped it down, it's going to come out in healthy ways, and you're going to snap at your partner or your pet or the poor unsuspecting grocery attendant. If we have a bad relationship, even if we're no longer in that relationship, if we haven't processed what went wrong, I mean, how many times do you see people get back into the same situation with a similar relationship because they haven't dealt with what the issues were? Somebody recently said to me that you have to treat an emotional wound the same way you would treat a physical wound. That it has to be cleaned and taken care of, and you have to put antiseptic or antibiotic ointment on it so that it doesn't get infected. If we leave our emotional wounds unattended and unhealed, they just fester and cause more pain. We can't, numbing does not work. And two, you don't get to just choose to numb the bad stuff. You go, I'm going to fully enjoy all the great stuff in life, but then I'm just going to avoid all the bad stuff, and I'm going to numb all that. That's like choosing to say, I'm not going to see two of the colors of the rainbow because I don't like those colors, but I'm going to see all the rest of the colors of the rainbow. It doesn't work. When you numb, you numb. If you're going to numb the bad stuff, you end up numbing the good stuff too. And then you go through life living flat. So a man who said, well, I've tried to avoid my own suffering and the suffering of other people so I can be happy. It doesn't work that way. Because the part of us that feels suffering is also the part of us that feels joy. We can't cut one part out. We can't numb one part. So interestingly enough, Brene Brown says that spirituality is the key to developing resilience that will allow us to lean into the discomfort of life. And let me be clear, spirituality, not religion. So that part of us that has a connection with something more. That part of us that understands that we're all one, that we're all in this together. And how you express that is your own personal journey, whether you're going to be Muslim or Hindu or Jewish or Christian or none of the above, and you're going to meditate out in nature. I don't care how you do it. It's that connection to the essence of that which underlies all things that helps us to find meaning and purpose in our lives. It's that connection that can never be severed. It can be forgotten, but it can't ever be severed. It's that connection in our times of hopelessness and despair and hurt and pain and disconnection and isolation and fear that grounds us and centers us. So I encourage you to take care of that relationship. I encourage you to find the ways to stay connected to the divine. I encourage you to attend not only to the joys and sorrows in your life, but to attend to your spirituality. To even do what Joan did and say, gosh, the sunset was beautiful. That's connecting to something more. whatever the ups and downs are in your life. Numbing doesn't work in any of those ways we just talked about. I encourage you to live fully, to laugh, to cry, to enjoy, to mourn, to dance, to weep, whatever it is you need to do to fully engage all of life, to be authentically, truly you. Amen.